why Jack did this thing, or I'm confused as to what Jack's plotline is. Because I realized I've been doing the same plotline on the Dream SMP for like 2 months, and my average viewership in 2 months has, I'm not going to show you my analytics in fear of leaking too much, but I am going to have a quick check for myself. My average viewership over the past 2 months has like gone from being like 2K to 20K, and there's like, that's a lot of people. That's like 10 times, like that's a lot of people who were not here, who have joined halfway through and don't fully understand the whole arc. So what I want to do is sit down, right, take any questions from people, okay, and we're just gonna, I'm literally, it's story time, all right? This is a story time, except the story is my story. I'm just gonna tell you the story of my character from start to finish, so that anyone who had any questions, just go, hey, Jack has this VOD where he just explains everything, right? So this is the one. And then what I'm going to do afterwards, I'm going to turn on the text-to-speech, and we're just going to go through a bunch of questions. I never thought about it. I just think this is the best way to clear up literally anything about the character. So, I'm going to literally start from the day I joined the SMP and tell the story from there. And we'll try and explain, right, why I do the things I do, why my character feels the way he feels, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to be touching on any future stuff. I don't want to spoil anything. But I want to basically, from here, set down the foundations for whatever goes forward. Because there's a couple of things that I'm kind of like in my mind retconning a bit. Because I'll explain why. Actually, no, I'll explain why now. So, my character is purely written by me, right? You know how people know about writing on the Dream SMP, right? The whole point about the Dream SP is that people, like obviously Wilbur wrote it for a while, right? I have always been solely in control of my character and what he does. It's my thing, right? Like my whole arc has been completely done by myself. The only issue with that is I worked a full-time job and had uni for like 90% of the time I was, you know, writing. So my lore streams, the way I did constructing my lore was there's so much backstory to this. This is why I'm doing this. So let's start from literally ground zero. In September and November of 2020, took a big break from Twitch. I didn't stream for like nearly 2 months at all, dead flat. Lots of reasons, things I've spoken about before, mainly mental health stuff. The point is 2 months, no streams, okay? And I went from being somewhat involved in the Dream SMP lore, where that was more written by other people, it was less character-based and blah, 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 to then joining back in, and obviously the lore had still been written, but I hadn't been there, so they'd written it without me in it, which is fine. Of course everyone wrote it without me in it. I wasn't there. But I was like, I would really like to be in the lore. So I decided that what I was going to do is essentially write myself a story that kind of runs. So this is like imagine like train tracks, and the main track, like timelines, okay? And there's the main timeline, and then what I'm trying to do with my story is like follow along with it, you know? Like I want a story that is like a B plot to the main story, right? And it intersects and it interacts, but mainly it's like two parallel stories, right? So that's the way my lore was conceptualized. The only problem with that was I was writing it. So I worked a full-time job. I worked 8 hours a day. I'd come home, watch like a stream, and just go live and just on the fly go, this is what I'm doing. And I did a lot of the story is not pre-planned so much. I kind of just do it on the fly. And that means that kind of throughout, there have been a couple of things where I've done a little bit of a U-turn. So what I'm also kind of doing with this is anything that kind of doesn't make sense, because there are a couple of little, like little snags that don't quite, like, there's not enough continuity. Like, I want to just, like, kind of turn around and go, ignore that, and just tell it as it works in my head, and do that. Because there's a couple of things. It's not much. There's like little minor things that just like don't really make sense and didn't need to be there. So I'm just going to poo-poo them and say, who cares about that? Let's forget about it.